Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the last episode of Road to Rank, and oh my goodness, we were up against a crazy team. We featured a really fun team with Lapras and Goodra, Comfey, Magnezone. I mean, everything on this team is really fun, so you can learn more in the description below. Yesterday, I did a fun exhibition best of 3 against Wolfie, featuring some underused Pokemon. It's actually really crazy because Wolfie used the Froslass plus Tauros combination in yesterday's episode, and now we're actually going up against that. So, there's basically like 3 duos here that I see. Froslass plus Tauros, the Dusclops plus the Dragalge, and then Riolu for coaching plus Braviary. So, how do we actually deny Lapras from enabling Tauros? I don't think we do. Because I don't have priority. Oh, you know what we could do? You know what's actually really interesting? Rillaboom Comfey, and just double up onto Froslass turn 1. If my opponent doesn't see that coming, I could totally see them going with the Tauros lead. I think we definitely want to go for a Perish game end song. Sorry, Perish song end game, not Perish game end song. So I want the Lapras. And for the last one, we probably need some more offense. Thinking about beating the Dragalge. Goodra is interesting because I could actually max Goodra into this team composition as well. I don't think we really bring Incineroar. Okay, let's bring Goodra. Okay, so we're just going to get into today's episode. As you guys may have seen in the beginning, it is a brand new rank season, so we have reset back to Great Ball tier, so hopefully we can climb back up to Master Ball within a couple of episodes. But I want to know, question of the day, what are your goals for this rank season if you're playing it? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, thanks to Adi for this team. Once again, if you want to try it out, check out the links in the description below for Adi's YouTube channel. And it is the Froslass and Tauros combination. That's exactly what I was hoping to see. Because now what I think we can do turn 1 is just double up onto the Froslass. Because we have priority. So Draining Kiss plus the Grassy Glide should just be a KO. Yeah. I'm assuming Froslass is Focus Sash here most of the time. So this is the lead I was kind of expecting to see. You want to crit your Tauros, Dynamax the Tauros, and then, you know, go to town from there. So there's the Dynamax. That's also what we want to see. And, you know, one win condition like you can really play with this team is basically picking up a couple quick knockouts and then maxing Lapras and then Perish Song. So that is what we're going for here. Alright, so we're just jumping right into the first game. But as always, if you guys enjoy, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I'd appreciate it. And thanks for all the support and for watching all these videos. You know, 1 month into Series 5. It's exciting to see so many people come out and continue to watch the content, so I appreciate it. Draining Kiss gets disabled here, actually. But the plan I was going for works out perfectly. Great. Now we force the Tauros to max 2, which isn't that much of a threat, I think. He's got Steel Spike, though. So, gonna get a defense boost, and gonna bring us down to our Focus Sash, but this is where Comfey having Sash actually gets a crit as well. Yeah, Comfey having a Sash here is really valuable. So we can at least deny the Tauros from really sweeping us, which is huge, right? Because the goal normally with that team is that kind of strategy is you just get the crit, and then you just go knockout, knockout, knockout. So this was the one lead that actually stopped that. Everything else on this team would have kind of hard lost to it, because we can't fake out it. So there's Riolu as well. This is where our Draining Kiss getting disabled actually kind of stinks. Because otherwise I could just knock out the Riolu pretty cleanly. I think my opponent probably goes for a coaching here. And I think we want to set up for a Perish Song endgame. So I think I'm just going to glide into the Riolu and switch out into Goodra. I think Rillaboom probably gets targeted. Like, I think if you're my opponent, you probably go coaching, max strike into Rillaboom. So it might have made some sense to have protected. So if Curse Body didn't activate, I think, honestly, might have just won this off turn 1. Okay. Really helps to just protect here. I don't think max strike KOs here without a boost, does it? Let's see. Oh, they just go for another Steel Spike. Alright, it's even better for us. If you're Steel Spiking there, I wonder if the Riolu then doesn't have Focus Sash. I just can't see why you wouldn't run Focus Sash. I guess you could be Eviolite. Okay, so that's obviously a great turn. Yeah, I think we just go for the KO here. onto Riolu, so then I can Lapras Parasong to end this game. Yeah, so I'm just gonna double up with Glide and Flamethrower. KO the Riolu. At best, my opponent's only gonna knock out one Pokemon this turn. Okay. Yep, there's coaching. So this is a full Protect the Tauros kind of composition. I maybe actually should have maxed this turn. Because, like, I'm not going to max the Lapras now, am I? I could. Yeah, because another option is... Or we could max Rillaboom. That's an interesting concept. Yeah, either way, Tauros is yeah, because I don't know if I want to Parasol immediately right now. Like, what I could do is set up screens and dish out some damage. This thing has multiple defense boosts, so I have to be careful. +1 attack, +3 defense. I don't think you ever read into the Protect on Rillaboom here, so I think protecting... The alternative is to just max Rillaboom. But I don't do much damage into Tauros, right? He's also a +1 attack. 2 turns of terrain. I'm gonna Protect and Resonance here. Yeah. I think maxing Goodra last turn actually made some sense, because I actually don't really need a Dynamax in this game. If I knock out the Riolu there, and then I get a free switch in into the Lapras, I can just Parasol to end the game. So, I think maxing Goodra would have been better. I really wished I ended up going for the, yeah, I think that's pretty much the one different play I would have made. I'm expecting a Protect here. Yeah, perfect. I think you Protect here, you don't expect Protect on the Rillaboom, so you try to KO that. And now I get screens up. Oh, it's actually EQ. Huh, okay. So EQ, Steel Spike, and normal type attack. I mean, I would expect it to be Assault Vest. Okay, not much damage at all. I think Resonance should pick up the KO through Protect here. I hope. Yep, okay, good. So 3-2 in our favor. Tauros has 3 defense boosts, but no special boosts. And we're also slower than Tauros, which is important, because it means we can win this game with Parasong 1v1 against it. So as long as we knock out Tauros' partner, Lapras can just end the game with a Parasong. I've also got a lot of healing still coming out from Comfey, and one more turn of Grassy Terrain. It's Braviary as the last one. Okay, well that gets dunked on by the Lapras. With Braviary out, honestly, I think just doubling up onto it is fine. The alternative is to switch the Rillaboom out into Comfey. But I don't think Rillaboom's ever getting one-shot here anyway, so Glide and Resonance, and then we can just Parasong for the late game. I think is fine. Okay, no Protects, good. It's a lot of damage from Glide. Lash Out! Sick animation there. That does no damage though. And Brave Bird, yep. Perfect. So now it's a 2v1. And so basically, like, oh wow, Rillaboom doesn't even faint there. That's impressive. The main thing in beating Tauros is just don't enable it, or don't let it get set up, because it's similar to like Cobalion, right? Like if it gets the boost off, it is just insane and probably will beat you. So you have to focus a lot of efforts in making sure you do not get swept in the early game. But we don't get swept, so that's good. So interesting to see the Lash Out as well. I was wondering about its moveset. Now what we can do is just Protect, Geyser, and then Parasol. We don't even need a Parasol to end this game, to be honest, but... So, it's got Steel, Dark, Normal, and Ground. So it's definitely Assault Vest Tauros. I don't see what other item you'd be running. But no way to actually hit Lapras, even for super effective. Like, no Grass type attack. The Lash Out last turn was kind of surprising, but I guess they didn't want to take Recoil. So, now I set up the Rain. It's just Parasong is like a guaranteed win con, because I have 3 Pokemon, all with Protect. That actually did a lot. Was that a crit? That had to be a crit, right? No! Huh. Assault Vest Tauros is either really weak or it's just not Assault Vest Tauros. One of the two. So, now I can just go out Rillaboom into Comfey. And Parasol is a guaranteed win, so I don't want to bother trying to miss with Freeze Dryer. Or sorry, I mean Freeze Dry can't miss with Hydro Pump, but by doing this, I get Parasol off. I know I'm slower than the Tauros, and I know Tauros' moves. It can't control the speed. Yeah, it's just going to EQ. Perfect. So basically now I Parasol, next turn I Fake Out Geyser, or Fake Out Freeze Dry. I mean, we could have ended this game in pretty much any amount of ways, but yeah, the Parasol just puts it on a timer. I guess Freeze Dry there is also fine, because then I can just bring Rillaboom out and then Fake Out Freeze Dry again, but it doesn't really matter at this point. There's like a billion different ways you could play out this endgame, because we know Tauros' moveset as well, right? We've seen Lash Out, Earthquake, probably Iron Head, and then we've seen Double Edge as well, so there's pretty much nothing this can do against us. I mean, Glide itself is probably a KO. Well, let's see the calc. I want to see my Tauros calcs here. Yeah, it should be a KO, I think. Oh, I forgot it's at +3 defense, right? But Earthquake in terrain isn't doing anything. But the thing is, there's no way Tauros can win, even in this situation, because if you even if you like Double Edge crit, for example, you only knock out one Pokemon and the other is just KOing you, and Earthquake, even if Earthquake double crits there, I don't even think a crit knocks out Rillaboom because of grassy terrain. Yeah, I forgot about all the defense boosts. But that's why I was going for that Parasol endgame. But like I said, there's pretty much like a billion different ways we could have closed out that one. So, not bad. Key thing is denying the Tauros setup. I think if we anything else, if we lead anything else, honestly, Tauros sweeps us. So I was hoping my opponent wouldn't see into the Rillaboom plus Comfey lead, and they didn't. So we take those. And this is a good lesson in team preview once again. People often ask me, like, how do you play in team preview? And the first thing I always try to answer is, what's the biggest threat and the most prevalent duo on my opponent's team? And do I have a good counter to it? / does my opponent think I have a good counter to it? Because if I don't think I have a good counter to it, they're just going to lead it often. In this game, for example, it's Venusaur plus Venusaur plus Torkoal or Hatterene plus Indeedee. So then I have to ask, how do I counter those? Safeguard Comfey is pretty good here. Assault Vest Venusaur is my opponent's team is all special. In fact, we could even potentially Dynamax Incineroar. Well, that seems pretty crazy. That being said, I think Goodra is normally used as the counter to Sun here. So I'm expecting like Hat Indeedee as a lead. So part of me wants to go like Incin Lapras. For double sleep, I don't know. Goodra does have a lot of value. Incin Lapras, and then I could pivot out. Like if my opponent leads Hat Indeedee, then Incin Lapras works, and if they lead with Venusaur, we can just hard switch into Goodra, I think. So I think I keep Rillaboom on the Comfey on the bench in this one, and go Rillaboom. Yeah. Yeah, so once again, if you're interested in learning more about this team, it was built by a player called Adi, who was able to get top 6 in the Players' Cup qualifiers in North America. They started their own YouTube channel to cover this team as well as some other content. So I've linked his YouTube in the description below, and this is a rental team, so feel free to try it out yourselves. Rento and the paste are also linked in the description below. So thanks to Adi once again. It is going to be a Hat Indeedee. Okay, so what we can do here, turn 1, is U-turn and Resonance into the Indeedee, get up screens, and then go from there. The only thing I'm really worried about in this game, honestly, is the potential like confusions from Gmax Hat. I guess the question is whether U-turn KOs here or not, because if it doesn't KO, it might be better. It's also faster Indeedee, so I mean I could see him just going for Expanding Force, but I think you have to respect a double up onto the Hat. I do have Darkest Lariat, right? So I could just Darkest Lariat and Resonance here, and honestly, I don't feel the need to. U-turn does get me Rillaboom in safely, though. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to U-turn Resonance. Indeedee surviving here, honestly, isn't even the end of the world, because I changed terrain. But I think getting screens is really essential to stalling out Trick Room in this kind of matchup, because the other route would have been Comfey Goodra, which works really well against Venusaur Torkoal, but falls very poorly against everything else. So, once again, let this be a good lesson in team preview. Always ask yourself, what are the most apparent duos? And in this, it was Hatterene Indeedee or Torkoal Venusaur, and then figure out which one of those is more advantageous for my opponent to lead. Yeah, so Indeedee goes for Follow Me, so pretty much turn 1 playing out as expected. Which is good, right? Because it means I regain terrain control, which I think is pretty valuable. Although, actually, U-turn might not knock out here. I don't know, maybe it would have been better to just KO Indeedee. Yeah, I think Lariat into it might have just been smarter. But still okay. Okay. Because if anything, it does deny my opponent a free switch in immediately, which is pretty valuable. So I'm going to go into Rillaboom, just change the terrain. So now I pressure with Glide, obviously. I think, like, Indeedee wants to switch out. Hat might want to max here, but it's kind of in an awkward spot to do so. If you max, what do? Just G-Max Smite? Probably. I could see Indeedee going for Follow Me this turn, or switching out, one of the two. I have Fake Out as well with Rillaboom, so I could Fake Out. You could also just max Psychic, right? Into, like, the Rillaboom. So I could go back out into Incineroar, which I'm thinking of, and going for Geyser onto Indeedee. Especially because it's AV Incineroar. This, I mean, like, if Hat doesn't max, you really don't do any damage here. If you max, whatever. Oh, I guess this is... Let's see if Geyser KOs here. It's stronger than Resonance because it's boosted by Hydro Pump. Okay, yep. They don't max the Hat. That's fine. Yeah, it's just single target expanding force into Lapras, which does negligible damage. The only problem is I've already spent 2 turns of my 2 turns of my max just to knock out Indeedee, which I'm not sure is really worth it. I suspect Torkoal comes out here. Yeah, this Lapras is so tanky though. Like with Grassy Terrain, we basically took no damage this last turn. So once again, we want one more knockout and try to Perish Song. The last game we didn't even need the Perish Song, but it's still a nice end game. Okay, Torkoal switches out. So I definitely can Geyser here, right? I think we Geyser into Torkoal for sure. I think the Hat maxes here, quite frankly. And with Trick Room being up, Incin should go second. Or sorry, first relative to Lapras. Yeah. So what I can do here is just go for a Flare Blitz and max Geyser. I think you max the Hat here. But with Assault Vest and Screens being up and my opponent having 2 special attackers, I'm not really in immediate danger here, I think. This is also why it's really important to have a mix of special and physical attackers on your team. Like, my opponent doesn't have a single strong physical attacker, so having Assault Vest is really, really valuable in this game. Like, Incineroar, that's why I was saying in Team Preview, Incineroar is a Pokemon that maybe could Dynamax. Now, I ended up maxing Lapras because I think Screens alone is valuable enough, and Hat actually switches out, okay. It's Venusaur, what? Whoa. That is not what you want to have if you have Trick Room. Okay. And it's just Earth Power. Yeah, look how little damage that does. I mean, I think my opponent honestly had to G-Max Smite there. If it's not Sash Venusaur, this game is just instantly over. Yeah, it is. I mean, sorry, it isn't. I think Amoonguss needed to be in this game for my opponent, but then the question is, who do you actually end up Dynamaxing? I was thinking my opponent was going to max Hat when it was Hat Indeedee after turn 1, but I wasn't even that worried about it because we had Screens up and Assault Vest. So, okay, nice. Hat comes back in. Now, I think Hat definitely maxes now, but Trick Room is running low. We could still lose this off a lot of confusion hits. So I'll need to play around that possibility. But Torkoal is useless if you don't max that, and how could you justify maxing Torkoal against the Lapras and an Incineroar? I think it has to be the Hatterene Dynamax in here. Not Life Orb, which is interesting, so the Focus Sash is most likely on that if I had to guess. My opponent's also stalled, like, there's only 2 turns of Trick Room left, right? Which is great. Yeah, I don't even need to Perish Song. But I just, like, hitting through Confusion could be pretty scary. I think it's pretty safe to switch Incineroar into Goodra. My opponent's just smiting here, right? Yeah, Goodra doesn't provide any value, I think. So just go out on a Goodra and Perish Song. Once again, I don't want to, like, if Hat maxes, which it should, and goes for G-Max Smite, I have to deal with the Confusion. So hitting with Hydro Pump through Confusion, just not as fun as just clicking Perish Song. So I think Hat finally maxes here, but I'm shocked to see Venusaur as the last one. I was thinking it was definitely going to be Porygon or the Amoonguss. That being said, like, neither of those were great switch-ins into a Flare Blitz and Sun, right? Which is why I wasn't even that concerned to begin with. And I brought Goodra here just for the option of Amoonguss and Venusaur. Like, yeah, in the end, is it not going to do very much? Probably, but the main thing is that if my opponent goes with a different game mode, I have a game plan for that as well. So that flexibility, I think, is valuable. Nice. Just Earth Power and a Goodra for a total of 22 damage. And G-Max might finally comes out, yeah. Probably a double up into that slot, yep. And, yeah, you can see how good screens are, right? Like, we survived that. So, if Lapras attacks through Confusion, game is pretty much instantly over because we have Protect on so many different Pokemon. Trick Room's ending after next turn. And Policy's activated, but obviously it's going to go down next turn. However, this Torkoal is completely useless right now. Torkoal and Rain is just like a very, very sad sight. But we hit ourselves in Confusion. Makes the game a little more interesting. Spice it up a little bit. That's fine. Yeah, like Lapras just doesn't take any damage right now, so I can even sack the Goodra, which I think I will. The value of keeping it is for a Hydro Pump into Torkoal, but yeah, I don't really think we need that. Plus, you actually have to, like Torkoal's useless right now, so I'm just going to Draco Meteor it and Parasol once again. Yeah. I think what G-Max had, sometimes you have to acknowledge like how far behind you are, and the Venusaur switch-in just didn't accomplish anything, whereas like if the Max had it earlier, sorry, if the hat maxed earlier, mixing up all my words. If the hat maxes earlier, then you can at least like roll a couple of those confusion rolls into your favor, and I don't like pick up knockouts with Lapras and Incineroar. So I think that's what my opponent needed to do. Like I feel like we're in a very commanding spot because Torkoal outside of Sun is just like so bad because its fire type attacks do literally so much less damage. Just not for Flamethrower, going for a burn, which makes sense. I actually did more than I expected, I gotta say. Considering that the rain is up and we have screens up. So, just another Smite coming out, but that's okay. See if Lapras gets hit in Confusion once again. Even if it does, Trick Room's over. Yeah, nice. So, that is one really cool way to play with this team that I don't think I really featured in that last episode we had with it, the Perish Song endgames. You just pivot yourself into a position where you click Perish Song and it's a guaranteed win. And the way you set this up is basically just have more than 2 Pokemon left. Even if you have 2 Pokemon left, you could Perish Song if Lapras or your other Pokemon is the slowest Pokemon on the field. So with that, now I can just go out into Rillaboom. The rain is up, screens are still up, so Torkoal can't even KO us, so we can just fake out. Like, we didn't even need Perish Song once again, but it's just better insurance. Because I could miss the Hydro Pump, and Freeze Dry doesn't provide me any value here anyway. So now it's just basically like a guaranteed win. Yeah. I forgot the Trick Room wasn't over though, so I guess that might have been a little mistake. But whatever. I mean, we can just double protect here. I guess there's no reason to protect Lapras. No, I mean, they don't do any damage right now. Could also just Glide the Hatterene. Hydro Pump. Yeah, we can just go on the offense. No need to play defensively this turn. Even if we miss Hydro Pump, like whatever. Because like Torkoal's not doing any damage, but we hit it. Nice. As soon as I snap out of Confusion too and I have Parasol, I mean there's no reason to not be clicking Hydro Pump. And now it's like you get a double Confusion, but I can just keep switching. And with Protects on everything. He actually has for Mindstorm instead, which makes sense, into Lapras. But this Lapras, you know, never really was an immediate threat of damage. But once again, that's why it's cool to see the synergy between like Lapras and Goodra, right? Like Lapras is the only things that really hit it for hard damage are electric type attacks or grass type attacks. Goodra is an excellent switch into both of those, especially grass type attacks because of Sap Sipper. Now obviously this is special Goodra, so it doesn't actually get any value out of those attack boosts, but more that doesn't really matter either. Yeah, so we can just Glide and Freeze Dry here, it doesn't really matter. Hatterene can't secure enough knockouts, especially with Incineroar being the last one. And yeah, that's enough for a knockout. So, I went for Perish Song and didn't actually end up mattering in either of the end games, but you can see basically how if you just have a very early lead and pick up 2 knockouts with this team, it's a very defensive team, right? But often, like, there are enough support Pokemon that Lapras fares pretty well into, like Amoonguss, like Togekiss, just all these that are weak to Ice. So if you just pick up a knockout on these support Pokemon, similar to what we did in the last game, I'm curious on the team here. Yeah, so it was Sash, Charcoal, Life Orb, Venusaur. I thought I saw Protect. No, Psychic, which makes sense. Sport, yeah. Pretty standard stuff here for the most part. I think, yeah, I think a team like that really would find a lot of value in just one physical attacker because, once again, like, having your team lean completely towards one or the other is often pretty bad. Like, I think some exceptions can be made. For example, remember, if you guys remember that coaching Riolu team that we used, there's some value to having Riolu just be able to coach 5 different sweepers. But even when we were playing with that team, I thought one of the weaknesses was the fact that, yeah, I think having one special attack would be nice because you're kind of weak to Intimidate burns, and if your opponent has any of those, you're just in a lot of trouble. This next team has a Chansey, which I don't like to see. Okay. Goodra's really interesting here, because I'm pretty bulky. I don't know, like, Lapras doesn't do any damage against my opponent's team, so I think it's Goodra. Goodra Magnezone is what I'm looking at. Like, I want to lean towards Comfey, Goodra, Rillaboom, and Magnezone. However, not bringing Incineroar might be a mistake when I have a Ferrothorn and a Snorlax on the opposing team. Magnezone looks great here, though. We have Max Flare on the Goodra. However, I do have to be careful because every time you're going up against a really bulky Pokemon like Ferrothorn that can just like completely solo teams, you always have to ask yourself, okay, how do I actually beat it, especially in the endgame if I lose my main sweeper that is trying to take care of it? And by leading Goodra here, I am at risk of just losing my best answer against something that's a very scary threat to my team. However, it's actually Chansey and Ferrothorn. Okay. I don't mind that. The one thing I mind is a potential ally switch turn 1. Honestly, I want to just Draining Kiss here. I don't even want to max. Like, I want to just Flamethrower. Because I'm not in immediate danger of damage. I could see Ferrothorn switching out, but like what? Then you go into Polytotem and I can just max the subsequent turn. They don't protect or switch out. Okay. I do a lot of damage to myself, but I can heal all of that back up next turn. You're not KOing the Goodra here anyway, I don't think. Nice. Oh, that feels so good. That's the biggest threat to our team out of the way. Like, that was what I was most worried about. So. Huh? Whoa, okay. Haven't seen that in VGC in a minute. It's funny because, like, I think G-Max Dreadnought gets that as its side effect. I don't think we've actually even played against a G-Max Dreadnought. Maybe 1 or 2 in Road to Ranked. It's Poly coming in. That's fine as well. I don't even need to max. I mean... Okay, the one thing about Chansey that I'm worried about is, like, minimized stuff. So I have to be careful about that. Honestly, I can see my opponent just forfeiting here based off how that first turn played out. I'm just going to Floral Healing here. I guess there's value to max now. Let's just Floral Healing Wormwind. Okay. Kingdra should be their last one, but I have Magnezone plus Rillaboom, and given that it's Stealth Rock's Chansey, I don't think it's your typical, like, minimize, Calm Mind. I ran into one Chansey team once when I was just playing for fun, and it was minimize, Calm Mind, Stored Power. Alright, probably protects there, it's fine. Yeah, I can just heal all the way back up to full. I do think maybe Lapras had value for Parasong alone in this game. That's why I didn't want to max turn 1, by the way, right? Like, what value do I actually get out of maxing? I don't think it's very much. Just am worried about seeing like a minimize right now. Eject button. Ah, cool. Get a free switching into Kingdra, presumably, but I don't think Kingdra knocks out the Goodra anyway. Should be Kingdra. And like Rillaboom now with Glide just does so much damage across the board as well. That was a nice play though. Like if I target Chansey there, my opponent's in a terrible spot because then like I thought it was pretty much just the win. That's Kingdra, right? Yeah. I don't think you KO us here though. He goes for Thunder Wave. Okay, I guess the play is to go for Paras. I'm gonna just Safeguard here to prevent myself from further Paras. And Wormwind. This is scary though. If I get fully paralyzed here, that might be huge. So let's see. Safeguard though does mean that I don't have to be that worried in the future. And like the Stealth Rocks I don't think really do anything for my opponent. If we knock out Kingdra, we win the game. Magnezone 2v1s, Politoed, and the Chansey. So this turn is big. Might have been smarter to have actually gone for a Safeguard last turn just to prevent Thunder Wave stuff. But This Chansey isn't the typical annoying Chansey with like minimize ally switch stuff, so I'm not as worried about it. Okay, it's just max Worm Wind. Yeah, Goodra's so tanky. I can even just heal that back up next turn. Enough where my opponent doesn't even KO me, so let's see if we get fully paralyzed this turn. Life Orb. Okay, get Safeguard, no more Thunder Waves. Seismic Toss, okay. Makes sense. Nice. No full paralysis. Beautiful. Let's go, Goodra. That's why we got you on the team. That's a KO. Perfect. And that's game. I'm shocked my opponent led Ferrothorn, honestly. Like, I think the approach to go with in this game is you stall out. You beat whatever fire attackers I have, which are Goodra and Incineroar, and I didn't bring Incineroar because I thought Goodra was the answer. So, like, Poly Kingdra as a lead, that's not even that scary, I guess, because I can just Draining Kiss, Max Wormwind turn 1. So, I felt like Goodra just had a really good matchup against my team, and the only way my opponent gets around it is just by some, like, switches. You just have to switch into Goodra's attacks, but, like, only one thing resists Wormwind, and that's Ferrothorn, which is why I was so happy to see Ferrothorn as a lead. I'm shocked it wasn't a Politoed switch in turn 1. Like, they just did not respect the potential Fire-type attack coming out from Goodra immediately. So, I'm just going to Fluoro Healing. Wormwind. Nice. Yeah, this is Comfey and Goodra at its finest, and one of the nice things of using special Goodra as opposed to physical, which we've obviously used previously. So I'm glad. I think this episode featured a little bit of everything, right? Like the first 2 games, we were going for the Lapras endgames. Lapras endgames. And this one was just a clear Goodra sweep. So Goodra's value is especially good against weather teams. Especially because this Goodra can control the weather. And it can change it to 3 different weathers. Hail, fire, sun, or rain. So the fact that you have triple weather control, I think is super sick as well. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this thing can't do anything as we just heal all the way back to full. I'm curious how much a Draco Meteor does here. I was not expecting to see Stealth Rocks, but I think this match is an example of why you don't see Stealth Rocks very often in VGC. Just often does not get enough value. I guess the Chansey was never doing much more, though. So, that's an argument to have been made. But I think like as long as we don't get fully paralyzed multiple turns, would have been very hard to lose this after turn 1. That is impressive bulk on Chansey though. That was a +2 Draco Meteor. I know Chansey's special defense is insane, but still. Okay. Let's just double switch. I don't want to drag this on any longer than it needs to be. Yeah, by double switching, we can just glide and body press, and that'll end the game. Also, shout out to Adi for his excellent Marks game. Like, all the Pokemon have really sick Marks names. Or just Marks, yeah. My favorite is Goodra's, but all of them are really cool. Yeah, I don't know. I think, like, the last couple of teams we've won more off team advantage than just playing well. It's just more identifying that team advantage immediately and pushing that forward. But this one, yeah, I'm still kind of surprised by. Okay, so Soft Boil, Thunder Wave, Stealth Rock, and Seismic Toss. So it's just kind of an annoying set, but now I can just fake out Seismic Toss. Sorry, fake out Body Press and then Body Press and Glide for a win. Just taking longer than it needs to be, but there's no way Chansey can win this. Now, if you go up against Chansey in VGC 2020, I would also like you should not be too surprised to see Minimize. You should not be too surprised to see Calm Mind and Stored Power and Soft Boiled. I ran into one of those on ladder and it was actually unkillable. Like I couldn't do anything against it because I spent my max not targeting the Chansey. So consider conserving your max to deal with Chansey specifically. That's almost just a KO. Nice. Ally Switch, I believe it still gets access to. I know it definitely did in previous gens. Is also something to watch out for. That actually could have made this game a lot tougher, honestly. Like, if I were my opponent, I like the Thunder Wave, I like the Soft Boiled, and I like the Seismic Toss, but I think Ally Switch provides more value. Rocks, once again, just doesn't really do very much at all, especially in VGC. If you look at my team, too, like, most of my Pokemon don't even really take much damage, if any, from the rocks. Like, and with Grassy Terrain being so relevant now, you often just heal back enough after the terrain anyway. So, yeah. Those are some really fun games to kick off the season, though. That first one, obviously, against Tauros. And once again, I think we hard lose that if I don't lead the Rillaboom and the Maybe not hard lose, but I just think Tauros sweeps me if I don't lead Rillaboom plus Comfey, because I don't see the counterplay to it, because then you just one-shot everything. Like, this team is bulky, but anything, if you get a single boost, whether it be like Swords Dance or Dragon Dance or Nasty Plot, that's a lot easier to break through the bulk. So yeah, you know, figured my opponent would want to lead that. We got fortunate that ended up being the lead. The second game, I think my opponent probably needed to max the Hatterene a little bit earlier, plus just with all special attackers, kind of tough to break through our wall of Assault Vest, Incineroar, and the screens from the Lapras. So once again, you can see the value. This Lapras doesn't do very much damage, but doesn't need to, as long as you're able to pick up like even like 1.5 knockouts in the 3 turns it maxes. All you need is to finish up that last half knockout, and then you can Parasol to end the game. And then this last one, I felt like my opponent would have had a better shot with the late game Ferrothorn, but instead they just gave it up on turn 1, and I think some players kind of forgetting about Goodra's potential to get fire type attacks. So had my opponent switched into Politoed turn 1, which was honestly I was kind of expecting, things could have gotten a little trickier. Like if they switched into Politoed and then just Thunder Wave into Goodra turn 1, we're in a much worse spot, I think, because now I have to play through the para chances, and I'm a little bit more wary to Dynamax immediately. So yeah, maybe they were Assault Vest too, and they weren't expecting to get KO'd immediately there. I think that could make some sense, but either way, I think the turn 1 play was kind of risky, and we end up punishing them for it. So yeah, I think Flamethrower is safe just because we're never in immediate danger there, and the only thing on my opponent's team that really threatens us with damage is that Kingdra. So as long as Kingdra's not on the field, I can really play and make whatever plays I want because I'm not in immediate danger of damage. But Chansey set was interesting. I'm very glad it was not the minimized soft-boiled kind of stuff that we see, or minimized stored power stuff that we sometimes see. So yeah. Alright, that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to answer the question of the day. Let me know what your goals for this competitive/ranked season are, and I will see you guys soon. Alright, peace.